But this Brendan Sorsby controversy really became a controversy, I think, because of the court decision made in Texas that basically suspended him the first 2 games of the season. And to me, this became a controversy, not because the guy bet on a bunch of games and he has a gambling problem, which we all understand. The fact that they are still advertising gambling. And I did notice, by the way, I don't know if you noticed this. Maybe I wasn't watching the game or something at this point in time, but I don't remember last night on ESPN seeing the DraftKings splash, the over-under odds that they have put up for the NBA Finals. I don't remember seeing it last night. But when you're advertising gambling in-game for people to bet, what we have to understand is this. I don't have a problem with Brendan Sorsby gambling. What I do have a problem with is him gambling on his sport and him gambling on his team. Even if he's gambling for his team to win or to cover the spread, that should be an absolute no-no. And to me, that is why I think this court decision is wrong, and the fact that they granted an injunction, and I know that the injunction looks like it's not even going to last till after the college football national championship, which means he's basically going to go unpunished, which is where I think the outrage for this is coming from. If it is true, and they have the gambling receipts, that he bet on either college football or Texas, or excuse me, Indiana at the time was what he was gambling on, they said, when he was a member of the Hoosiers. If that's true, he's a very talented quarterback. Obviously, I think he would get drafted at some point, but he should be kicked out of college football.
From what I've heard, teams are now trying to say, no, we're not going to play Texas Tech. Nebraska, I believe, is leading the charge in terms of the Big Ten, saying, no, don't schedule games against Texas Tech. Georgia is doing the same. From what I've heard also, teams in the Big 12, which is where Texas Tech plays, are saying, no, we don't want to play them. I've even heard conversations, teams in the Big 12 are trying to get Texas Tech kicked out of the conference.
Well, that's ridiculous. Because listen, he did not break a law. Let's be clear on that. He did not do anything illegal. He did break an NCAA rule, which means he should be punished by the NCAA.
But the NCAA doesn't really do anything these days.
That's what I mean. That's why, and I've said this all along about the NIL, the transfer portal, the gambling, and all that. I know you've heard me say it before. College sports needs a commissioner. One over-governing body that governs every conference, not this BS where we have commissioners for individual conferences. It doesn't work in this day and age. In my opinion, that's what should happen. But this kid, if you ask me, if I'm Texas Tech, I implement a self-ban. I release the kid from his contract. I say he's no longer going to be on the team. Because here's the problem. If that kid only gets suspended 2 games and he's allowed to come back this year, what you're telling the other Texas A&M kids is, boys, Texas Tech, excuse me. What you're telling those kids are, boys, what game are we gambling on this week that we can put 60 points on some cupcake? Because two games against 2 cupcakes is nothing. And basically what you're saying is, oh, it's okay. You can gamble on your own team.
Yeah, because what happens if he's playing against BYU in an important game late in the season? Right?
Yeah, and he, what if he bets his over, let's say, on rushing yards, and it's 22.5, and he's sitting at 19 with a minute left, but they're up 30, and then taking a knee. Is he QB sneaking and going to business for himself? I mean, obviously, this is different from the Emmanuel Quase situation in Cleveland a little bit, because obviously he's been caught and all that. But to me, the weird part is, if it is true that he gambled when he was a member of the Indiana Hoosiers on Indiana, he should not be allowed to play college football anymore. But I will reiterate, If I was a team in the NFL draft, I would go off his tape. I would give the kid a shot if I needed a quarterback, and I'd draft him. Because young people make mistakes all the time. We make mistakes every day. You and I have both said things on this show that we regret. I know you remember a few years ago, Chris Broussard on the air of First Things First used the R word. Like, we all make mistakes. It happens. We should not be acting like this kid should be in jail, which is what some of these people are acting like.
By the way, I still say Chris Broussard, at the very least, should have been suspended and not been allowed to be on the air. But I was advocating that he should have been fired, but that didn't even happen.
Again, though, like, guys make mistakes, right? Like, he's a young kid, and when you have all these ads in front of you, because I don't gamble a lot. I do most of my gambling in the football season a little bit. I dabble into it, but I got to tell you, man, these ads, they are designed. I mean, everywhere you look now in any sporting event, they have it up on the goddamn screen. Here's the over-under tonight. Go to FanDuel. Go to DraftKings. And so, do I blame Brendan Sorsby? Should he know better? Yeah. But when you have an addiction, it's the same addiction as cigarettes. Like, it's hard to get over. So I'm not going to kill this kid over it.
Yeah. And, like, how many times on Sports Center do they say, oh, we're going to go to Joe Fortenbaugh for our best bets of, I'm taking the under on goals tonight in Game 4 of the Stanley Cup.
I guess that's my point is I'm not mad at the kid. I'm disappointed in the result, and I'm mad at the way the university handled it. Should Sorsby have known better? Again, absolutely. Of course he should have known better. But we all know better with the dumb decisions we make. And again, think about this. This kid is as old, if not older, than Victor Wembanyama. And he's still in college.
Yeah, it's a weird situation. I feel like it's going to be a dark cloud hanging over college football this season. I really do.